welcome to my living room floor. I chill on the floor a lot, so this is pretty normal for me, but I just kind of wanted a different background than the wall. I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel like this looks better than a wall with some outdated pictures on it. So, yeah, if you read my blog post, I kind of just want to talk to you today about saying yes and being more open to opportunity and more open to what God is calling you to do, what God's calling me to do in my life. A little bit about what I've learned about that in the past year, so what I'm still learning, what I will continue to learn for the rest of my life. I just want to kind of start out by saying that I love people. I love people. My last job at Justice for All, I led service teams, so we would take a group of people to Mississippi or Mexico or Colorado City, Arizona, and do work trips and help ministries that were there. And I was in charge of the group, so I was in charge of the scheduling, in charge of travel, in charge of meal planning, devotions, all of that stuff, and in charge of being the group leader for the week. And I loved it. I thrived in that environment. But it's just ironic because at the same time, normal, everyday social interactions just kind of freak me out. I love people, but if I'm in a group and everybody is talking and somebody asks me a question, I just freeze and I have no idea what to say in a group. One-on-one, I'm great. I can talk to you till the cows come home. If I'm talking to a group, it's better. But it's just social interaction is just, I don't know, that's something that I struggle with. And I'm not sure why. So a recent example of this is we are doing some digging in our yard. We have to put in some gutters or something. So our internet provider came and was marking. You have to mark where stuff is so that you don't dig and die and hit a bunch of stuff and get electrocuted. So he was coming out and he didn't have to know that I was home. He didn't have to talk to me, and I knew that he didn't have to talk to me, but I saw the truck pull into our driveway and I was sitting at the kitchen table and I literally leapt out of my chair and landed face first on the kitchen floor because I didn't want him to see me. We have lights on, we have windows on our garage doors, he can see that my car is here. He probably saw me leap out of the kitchen chair, idiot. So that's just an example of me trying to avoid social situations, which is ironic since I like people, but it's just the way my brain has been wired to deal with stuff, and it's not something I really like about myself, and it's something I'm discovering more and more that you can change if you want to. You can not avoid social situations. You can just face them and be an adult. I am 25 years old. I can make my own dentist appointments now. So, yeah. So, it was just ironic that Elsa brought up public speaking. And yeah, I'm trying to think of how to tie this all together because I have so many thoughts in my head that I want to share with you guys, and it's usually easier when I'm typing them out because I can rewrite stuff. I can just delete something the next day and rewrite it, and nobody will ever know that I changed it because I'm the one who's changing it and you can't see me. So now it's kind of what do I say next? But I'm reading a book by Shonda Rhimes, and she is the writer of shows like Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, Grey's Anatomy. There's one other big one, Private Practice. So she's kind of a big deal. She's the head writer for those shows, so she has a great imagination, whatever. She wrote a book called The Year of Yes. It's about how she's introverted, like I am, and she used to say no to everything. She used to avoid social situations. She would make excuses to get out of stuff. She would hide her feelings with food, all of those kinds of things. And she decided that she didn't want to live like that anymore. So she started saying yes to stuff. She started saying yes to being happy, yes to improving herself, yes to social situations. And I was like, hey, that sounds really fun. Like, I should try that. I think that would be a good idea for where I'm at in life right now and the lessons I've been learning lately. So I'm going to try to say yes to more. And while her yeses were things like giving the commencement speech at Dartmouth and being on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and my yeses will probably be stuff like bringing an extra pan of bars to a party. It's okay. Like, I'm not a TV writer. I'm not a big deal. So I think it's important to be more open to stuff like that. And I got to thinking about how that applied to my life in the spiritual aspect. And something I've been coming to realize lately is that while I'm doing my devotions, it's easy to pray fervently and say, God, bring situations into my life where I can praise you, or show me things that I can do to speak to others around me about you, or I'm open to what you have for me today, and I'm open to doing what you have called me to do today. And like, that's so easy to pray at 6 a.m. while you're in your pajamas sipping your coffee on the couch. Like, it's not hard to say those things. But then later on in the day, when God places it on my heart to reach out to somebody who I know might be having a difficult time, or to go and visit somebody who has been dealing with a tough situation lately, or to make a meal, or to be in one of those social situations, I say no. I say it doesn't fit in my schedule. I don't have the ingredients for the meal. Like, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. They're going to think it's weird. And I brush it off. Like, I realize that God has been giving me exactly what I ask for. He's been holding up his end of the deal, like he always does and always will. But then when it came for my turn, I was falling short, and I was saying no. And I was saying, it's inconvenient, God. Like, I'm thankful that you put these situations in my life, but no, I do not want to grow. I do not want to follow through. I would rather just sit on the couch and pray about it and not do anything about it, because that's easier. And I was ashamed. Like, that's very shameful. Like, that's a terrible thing to do. Like, if God is going to follow through on his part, obviously we're human, we're fallible, but I mean, shouldn't we at least try to follow through on our part? Shouldn't I at least try to do, to fulfill the situations that I asked for? Like, I can't be mad when I ask God for wisdom and then he puts me through these situations that give me a perspective of life I've never had before. And I'm like, well, God, why are you doing this? And it's like, well, you asked for this, Lauren. You asked for this. Like, follow through on your end of the deal. Be grateful. Be thankful. And use the situations that God gives you to say yes, to grow, to be a better person, to learn. Like, that was a really hard lesson for me to learn. And I'm still learning it, and it's still tough. It's still hard to say yes. It's hard to reach out when God places these prompts in my heart, and it's hard to pray that in the morning now, because I know that God will follow through. I know that when I say, okay, like, I'm open to what you have for me today, like, it's more timid now because I'm more aware of what I'm doing, and I'm more aware of the fact that he does follow through. And I can't say no anymore. Like, I can, but I'm trying really hard not to. So yeah, when Elsa said public speaking, it was just, I don't know, it was God whispering to me, because first of all, I mean, she could have said any number of things, and that would have been wonderful, but God has been laying on my heart lately public speaking, and I realized that I think I'm just kind of abnormal, because I say that I don't like social situations, but I love public speaking. I love it. I thrive in that environment. I don't know if it's because I don't, like, when you're up there and the light's on most of the time, like, you can't really see who all you're talking to, or I'm the only one with the microphone, so you have to listen to me. And that sounds very vain, but I think what it is I just, when I'm in a group and I'm, like, speaking with other people, I never feel like what I have to say is interesting enough to, like, interrupt the conversation or, you know, make people listen to me. But if I have the microphone, I'm like, hey, these people want me here, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna share my heart with you. I just love it. And obviously I can't just, like, dive in and be a public speaker. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know if that's what God is actually calling me to. Like, I have no idea. But I was talking to Paul about it, and I was like, so this is what Elsa and I were talking about, and I'm not really sure what to do with this information or what to do with this prompting. I'm a good writer, people say, but, like, how does that translate into in front of a live audience, especially when, like I said, writing is something that I can change and alter and make it sound better before I put it out into the world. And obviously, you can't do that if you're speaking live, and it's harder to do even on video. But he, bless his heart, he's creative, and he came up with a solution immediately. And he was like, why don't you just put videos with your blog? And I was like, oh, like, again, it was like me praying to God, like, show me what you want me to do, but timidly, and, like, but if you don't want to show me anything, that's fine, like, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at. And Paul was like, just put a video with your blog, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea, but now I have to do it. So I guess that's kind of why I'm doing it. Like, I'm trying to be more willing to actually do what God is placing on my heart and actually go through the doors that he's opening. Like, yeah, it's just dumb. Like, if you're like, I want to be a race car driver, and my uncle's a race car driver and he's super successful, but I'm not even going to talk to him. I'm going to figure this out all on my own. Like, that's kind of what I was doing, and that's kind of how I have been living life. I'm like, I want to do what God has called me to do, and I want to follow through, and I want to start this business, and I want to be successful, and I have God right here, and he knows the future, and he knows what he wants for my life, but I'm just not going to use him. I'm gonna pretend like I'm using him, but actually I'm just going to do it my way. And believe it or not, that doesn't work. I guess my point of this is saying that I'm doing this without any idea of where it's going to go. I have no idea if anybody's even going to watch this. And honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, it's a little bit nerve-wracking being on video, especially, yeah, like I said, I can't change this later. I mean, I could reshoot it or edit parts out, but it's so much different than writing. But I feel good about it, and I feel like God is like, yes, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And honestly, that's all I'm trying to do is say yes, or at least maybe, to the situations that he puts me in and the opportunities that he opens up for me, because I want to continue praying in the morning, open these doors and open my eyes to what you would have me do. Like, I want to say those things, but I have to mean them. Like, I have to mean them, or they're useless, you know? So I guess this is me following through on my end of the deal, because I know that God will always follow through on his. So yeah, Elsa's idea is, it's great. In between her and Paul, I'm going to be way out of my comfort zone, but that's okay, because the cliche saying is nothing good ever happens in your comfort zone. So here I am, world, trying to say yes, and I'm trying to grow, and I'm trying to be better, and I don't know, we'll see where it goes. All I can say is thank you for coming along, and thanks for watching, and we'll see what happens from here.